We're just waiting for people to join, and we'll start.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Just had some lunch, so I'm feeling good and refueled. Just jumped into the RV
How's
scene, checking it out. It looks incredible. Excited to chat more about that.
Yeah, me too. It looks so cool. I didn't realize it was two-sided. I mean, I should have known and looked to my right. I'm like, oh, there's a whole other section. There's 0 through 14, and then on the other side, there's 15 through 28. There's the other cubes on Edifice and all the other things happening. Here, let me invite a couple more people up here. Let me see. I'm looking for Bay. I think she's logged in as Mesh. Let me invite more people. I don't know if you're here. I'm trying to look for Mesh who wanted to be under that. So those of you who are here, we're also running around in world, and if you want to join us in there, we're at 5462, and I just did a post prior to the space opening up. You can join us through that, and we're just running around the build as well. And let me see, Bay, if you're on here, if you could do an request to speak. I think maybe she's still trying to log on.
Just a heads up, Fractilians, you're getting a bit of feedback on your side. You might have a bit of static to it.
Okay, let me see. Is that better or still weird?
Slightly better.
Okay, my reception here hasn't been great, so I'm gonna try to put it so I don't move my phone, and maybe that'll help a little bit. So, thanks everyone for joining us. We're just waiting for Bay to come on here, and if you could request to speak, I'm trying to scroll and look for you showing up on here. Don't see her. Oh, there she is. Oh, perfect. Okay. And as she's connecting, welcome. So I'm up here with Peanut Butter and Scott, Odd Job, and CK. I believe you're up here, and you said, is it Kanzi or who else was going to be joining us? Faye?
Kanzi, if they're here, I think they can and speak about what they've been working on too.
Yeah, and if you're here, Kanzi, if you want to do a request to speak, that would be awesome. Yeah, I'm trying not to move my phone as much because the reception is kind of shoddy. So I'm like, there. I think I found a spot where it's happy. Hopefully you guys can all hear me. I'm here also recording the space. So if you guys are just joining us, we also posted prior. And if somebody could pin the actual link to where we're located, that'd be awesome. I did post a tweet right before the space started as well. So if you guys want to join us, we're running around and we're.
Yeah, it's pretty simple as well. So it's 5262. So if anyone wants to leap in, I think we're in, which round are we in right now? Is it Boulder? Heimdallr I'm in. Are you guys in Heimdallr?
Yeah, I'm in there too.
Great. I think we're in Heimdallr in 5262.
Oh, wonderful. Cool, and I think we've got a good crew to start with. Let me do a little introduction and we'll jump right in. So welcome everyone, and thank you all for being here today. We wanted to create this space in order to showcase all the amazing events, installations, and wearables that are being created for the Metaverse Art Week. It's going to be such an epic week of art. I've been looking through all the events. It's amazing. But I wanted it's going to be great to have you, Bay, share and talk all about this, and just so excited for you to be here. And plus, happy birthday! Woo!
Thank you so much. It's so exciting to be here after, I mean, how long have you been with us in Mesh, Fractilians? When did we start all this?
Oh my God, like, I don't even know. We had about 6 weeks, right, for the beta to work on it.
I think we did.
I can't even remember. It feels like an eternity ago already.
I've completely blocked it. It's like sometime earlier this year we started on this, didn't we? And we did a beta of can we create a immersive art fair in the metaverse? And Fractalians, you were one of the first artists that worked with us to see if we could do this. And here we are today, and tomorrow we launch with 33 different international artists, all with new immersive installations in Decentraland. So it's extremely exciting.
Yes, and one thing before we dive in, what I've been dying to ask you, which is there's something when it comes to your tagline, which I totally love, the metaverse is dead and long live the metaverse, which I totally think is spot on. And I so want as an IRL hoodie. Can you tell us a little bit about that and what the meaning behind that for you is?
Yeah, I think we were so tired of people telling us not to talk about the metaverse this year, just from all sides, from our friends that we were talking, IRL artist friends, to the kind of really, I don't know, the down cycle in terms of the press. They were so pro and they were none this against using metaverse as a term. And I think as artists, we find that really exciting. You know, it's that's when it becomes exciting. That's when it becomes this this kind of punk vibe around this. And we were seeing all the artists that we respected, everyone that we kind of use as inspiration in the space, everyone that we respected was still working in the metaverse, like building, creating, coming up with these amazing community events, really making things happen. And we felt that this was something that needed to be celebrated. So we kind of embraced it and said, yeah, okay, for a lot of the outside world, this concept that was called the metaverse, that was hyped, is dead. But actually, here and now in Decentraland, the most interesting work is taking place, and the creators that are doing extraordinary things are building this new world. And that's where the Art Week came from, is that we wanted to celebrate that and bring us all together to kind of have a huge party.
I love that. I totally agree. And it's like, I think it's like that death rebirth cycle, you know, it's like a natural cycle in nature. And it's like, it's definitely going to make us all stronger in many ways, I think, because we're still building no matter what. I don't even listen to it anymore, you know.
I think we both have children, and my 13-year-old came up to me and said, oh, you know, Mum, it's just like the 1983 game crash. It's like, yes, it is. Well done. Exactly. So we've had these, you know, we had the press in 1983 saying that no one would ever play a computer game again. So just feel that this is happening, and this is where we are right now.
No, I love that. And I would love also for you to like maybe share a little bit about what your role for Metaverse Art Week this time around has been. And also after that, maybe diving a little bit more into an overview of what Mesh is and how that actually came into being.
Yeah, so Mesh came first, really. Mesh was the response to seeing that there potentially wasn't a Metaverse Art Week in 2023. And we thought, right, okay, what can we do? And we started talking with artists like you and created this concept called Mesh. And then I contacted Foundation, and they were really supportive and said, absolutely, run it, we'll give you land. But sorry, just a second, I'm just going to pause.
Yeah, no worries. Peanut butter, what's up? We can
chat. Yeah, I'm currently doing some dances, some emotes next to Brandon. We are just vibing.
I'm looking at the phone and I'm just like, oh, the party's in there. I gotta run over there. Yeah, I'm recording this as well, so I have the video, and later I'll post like the Twitter Spaces audio with the video, which makes it look really cool. So
sorry.
Oh, no worries. We're just dancing, watching. I finally caught up to the club, and everyone's in the middle of the space. So I'm seeing some polar bears, peanut butter, some meows. Yeah. So if anyone here who just joined us, there's pinned tweets with the links to we're in world as well, running around in the builds. So yeah, I'll pass it back to you, Bae.
I'm sorry, I just got rugged by the equipment here. Yeah, so I guess that's how it came about, was that we produced Mesh, and then Foundation, can we make this a little bit wider? Can we, rather than saying there's only green Mesh this year, can we open that up and open it to the community and have community creators being part of the wider Art Week? And Foundation were really supportive as well, and that's how it came together. So Welper, the arts collective that I contribute to, I was behind both Mesh and also Metaverse Art Week.
Oh, I love that. And maybe we can, before we dive into, I would love to also, talk to CK and talk to Odd Job about their roles in their cube and also the mentorship roles that you guys have done. Maybe we can give a little overview of the events happening and just where people should go to look up the events and what's the best resources they should check out if interested in participating, being a part of all these things.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's the Decentraland blog, which has a really great rundown that both Kim and Carolina put together about what's happening. All the events are there, all the installations are there. There's the Metaverse Plaza as well. The central visitor welcome area has teleports to all the installations. So if you want a really easy way of getting around everything that's in both Metaverse Art Week, and I think we've got about 60 different things in there. So the teleports are really useful for that. And we've also got, if you forget where to go in terms of anywhere, if you go to vuelta.com, so that's VUELTTA, there's a big tab there that says Metaverse Art Week, and there's a list by event dates. So you can kind of jump to Thursday and go, okay, great, we've got a Twitter space. So there's Twitter spaces happening every day with world tours. We've also got people coming to those tours. Esteric, who's the editor of Right Click Save magazine. We've got some really eminent collectors like OMS coming to sort of talk about their responses to the artwork. So every day is a Twitter space. And then importantly, every day there is a party from some of the extraordinary party organizers in
to look up the events and what's the best resources they should check out if interested in participating, being a part of all these things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Part of all these things.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's two. There's the Decentraland blog, which has a really great rundown that both Kim and Carolina put together about what's happening. All the events are there, all the installations are there. There's the Metaverse Plaza as well. The central visitor welcome area has teleports to all the installations. So if you want a really easy way of getting around everything that's in both Metaverse Art Week, I think we've got about 60 different things in there. So the teleports are really useful for that. And we've also got, if you forget where to go in terms of anywhere, if you go to vuelta.com, so that's VUELTTA, there's a big tab there that says Metaverse Art Week, and there's a list by event dates. So you can kind of jump to Thursday and go, okay, great, we've got a Twitter space. So there's Twitter spaces happening every day with world tours. We've also got people coming to those tours. Esteric, who's the editor of Right Click Save magazine. We've got some really eminent collectors like OMS coming to sort of talk about their responses to the artwork. So every day is a Twitter space. And then importantly, every day there is a party from some of the extraordinary party organizers in Decentraland. So you can kind of experience some art, wander around, experience all these immersive installations, and then party late into whatever time zone you're in with some amazing venues who have also created art installations for Metaverse Art Week as well.
I know that you summed up everything I was going to ask about. I mean, there's not only is there the parties, there's the installations and all the talks as well. I'm definitely going to try to catch all those other Twitter spaces. And then is Friday the only one when the art curators are there, or is that are there other days when they're going to be there as well?
Friday's the main day for art curators. So I haven't put it in yet, but we have one for the APAC, so for Australia, Japan, China community, because quite a lot of the events this year are the later ones, so they're struggling to get there. So there's going to be a morning event as well on Friday for people who want to listen to the artists and curators talk about the event in more of an easy time zone for APAC. And then, yeah, double Twitter space on Friday and then parties over the weekend.
Wonderful. Yeah, I'll post a bunch of this info afterwards for everyone if you want to links to it, to the blogs and to some of the space. So you're saying the Art Week welcome area. I went there yesterday. I don't know if it was already up to date or are they launching it tomorrow?
I imagine it's going to be tomorrow. They've had so much work in such a short space of time. They've been incredible.
I wasn't sure, so I was like, oh, I bet they're waiting, because people like me are always trying to click and go and look, early and see what's happening. But I don't know if you got rugged, Faye?
I'm still here.
Okay, sorry. So one of the things that I would love to talk about, and that kind of segues into what Scott and I know C can talk to, and she's one of the cube artists as well. But how do you think Decentraland stands out in regards to enabling creators to showcase their metaverse art? And I brought this up because I think what you guys have done with Mesh in so many ways is such an onboarding project, and there's so many really interesting community projects that tackle onboarding in a fun, engaging way. But one thing that I've really loved is how you guys have really brought a lot of the artists, if I'm not wrong, builders hadn't previously built. Some had, I had built, I know CK, but a lot of the people. I would love for you guys to talk about what resources you made available, how you helped them along the way, and I just thought that was such a brilliant process.
Yeah, I mean, most of the artists weren't Decentraland builders, so most were going from scratch, and obviously most had really high expectations because they're well-known artists. They have extraordinary portfolios. They were selected by a board of curators that included some of the top galleries in the space. So coming into this, I think everyone was really concerned about being able to meet those expectations. And so I was really glad that we had the support of the Decentraland DAO to be able to support 3 community leads, our mentors, to actually give the artists that kind of level of support so that they could fulfill their vision in Decentraland. And that was super important. The only artists that weren't able to do it were the artists that didn't engage with Scott, Vanessa, and Nikki, Discord and support. and the DMs and all the tweets that they were providing for the artists. And you can see if you're exploring these cubes that they are incredible. Like every time a new work arrived, it's just that gasp moment of I've never seen anything before like this in Decentraland. But I think maybe Scott should talk about the practicalities of what he and the team did, because it was just brilliant. The Discord was so active and the artists were so enthusiastic about getting that support as well.
Yes, would love that if you could do that, Scott, and Nikki as well, right? You helped.
Yeah, it was Scott, Nikki, and Kanessa.
Hi, everybody. My name is Scott Moore, also known as Odd Job, and super thrilled to be part of this event. And yeah, to just talk about the support piece. It was hosted by the CBD Discord, that's Community Building Decentraland Discord, and I just want to give a shout out to the founders of Decentraland and to the creators. There's like the Theseus, right, where you've got a ship that goes on this journey, you have to replace the planks in the ship, and there's always new people coming in, new creators, new planks, but the theme or the ethos of Decentraland, for me anyway, has always been helping each other. That's KJ Walker with her videos, or some of the first videos that I ever watched were created by PB on just how to do simple things, or Tobik, how to bridge mana. It's certain to me that without the help of all of these individuals, taking time to either create a resource or to just spend time with me in world chatting, either voice chat or text chat or on Discord, that's the way that the information has been disseminated. That's the way that people have been shepherded into Decentraland. So it's in that spirit that I think has always been part of Decentraland that we carried this through. When CBD was first created as a Discord server, it was a community of communities. There's people that were landowners, or people that were developers, or people that were wearable creators, or people that just wanted to party. Shout out to Smoking Smokers. There's everybody's plays their part, and by bringing everybody together and just asking, hey, do you need help? Or saying, hey, I need help, can anybody help me? And then freely offering that help. Nothing that's spent an inordinate amount of time is Lastrum, who's come and helped out myself and CK with Love House deployment in Decentraland. So yeah, it's just like it takes a village kind of thing. It may sound trite, but it's definitely true, that it's just been a collective effort. So it just only seemed natural to me when they came to me to talk about the Mesh Art Fair and all of these new people coming in with lots of 3D knowledge, but maybe not any specific detailed skill set for Descent, that we would have a group of mentors. Nikki has a lot of amazing experience in development, having taught herself and created a team around her for Roomway. And then what better person to have than Kanessa, who's been an active member in Decentraland. She was part of the original land auction back in 2019, and has been building scenes in Decentraland since that time. I mean, there's a castle that's still in Decentraland that she submitted for the first builder contest that was 4 or 5 years ago. So yeah, just thrilled to be on this team. And the concept was I think it's always been part of Decentraland.
Yeah, I'm very spot on with that. I totally agree. I mean, I think all of us can share stories when we first came in and how someone helped us and taught us and guided us. I also learned from Roto Kai, KJ as well, like all the videos that, people who wanted to build and finding these videos and finding these beacons of ways to learn in this space. So what you guys have done within there has been, when I saw the format, I was like, this is exactly how it really well, because then they feel part of the community too. It's not just them doing it on their own siloed. And I'm curious, like, what were most artists when they came in, some of the challenges that they first faced that you noticed? Was there any common things, or would just people start building, come in, or I'm curious to hear about that?
I mean, it really was. There were certainly some commonalities, and it's interesting. Like, you know, everybody's got their own personality. So some people like showed up day one that it opened and were asking me questions. You know, like how do I do video? How do I you know, import this particular model? I would say most of the questions were surrounding streaming video because, you know, it's such it has such an impact to be able to add video and to have it synchronized to parts of your scene. I know you had components of that in yours,
Yep.
Fractilians, but yeah. So Trevor Maha was, I think, the first person that came in and is like, "Hey, I want to do this thing with video," and you know, that sent me researching multiple different methods of adding video. So I went out and talked to a lot of the devs, and it got to the point where enough people wanted to know about adding at least one video, you know, one panel, one screen, and then other people were coming and saying, you know, not to like give away the trade secrets or whatever, but some people wanted, since it's a cube, they wanted at least four different panels, and I think Tripura had six different panels of video. And you know, because Decentraland is built on an open source stack, and it's got a specific open source video codec, it's M3U8, and you know, there's a way that you have to source one large video file and then parse it out, you know, without getting too deep into the weeds. But enough people wanted something like that that I just decided to create a like a tutorial video session. I did a couple of videos in the theme of the FAFO, you know, fuck around, find out, that would address a lot of these people's concerns. Then I created a scene, and then I did a step by step and posted that in the CBD channels for the artist chat and artist support that we had created for the artists, so they could come in and, you know, even if I wasn't able to be there at that specific time, Canessa's on, you know, the opposite coast from where I am, and Bay is all the way across the pond. So you know, I did different times of the day, you know, just trying to make myself available. But, you know, there's also just posting something in Discord and, hey, I have this question. And hat tip shout out to the members of the CBD community, because I know CK was actually in there answering questions that some people had, you know, when I wasn't able to be there. And they're, you know, they're an artist in Mesh, but they've also, like I said, have received a lot of help from community members like Lastrom in working on their own scene in Decentraland. That's the ABC Clubhouse scene. So taking what they've learned and then passing that knowledge on to other people, you know, that's the beautiful thing about knowledge. It's like the more you share it, the more it gains in value, the more it gets given away. So. Yeah.
Love that. I was going to actually ask just about that because I heard that there were some videos and stuff created. So that's something that anybody in the community can now access, right? They can go to CBD, go to the Mesh support area, and check it out, right?
Yeah, somebody asked me, it was either yesterday or Friday of last week, about adding video to their DCO worlds, and I'm like, well, you know, here, and I just directed them to the artist chat channel to that exact thing. Yeah, those are resources that hopefully will be formalized soon, and yeah, are already available to the rest of the community.
No, love that, and thank you for all you guys have done. Everybody up here, you blow my mind every day. And Nikki, I would love to hear your take on the experience. And
yeah, so I think one of the things that was hard for a lot of the artists is, you know, most 3D artists don't have to worry about low poly and the restrictions that comes with that. So it was a little bit challenging trying to help some of them fix some of their scenes, get it below the tri limit and below the megabyte limit and like all these restrictions. But what was really rewarding for me is to, you know, meet them at their most defeated moment and then seeing that being revitalized once their scene was working and optimized. Because I know how frustrating it was for me when I first started and not being able to get my idea across the finish line, and then just having one person come in and help and then changing that entire inspiration, and now knowing that I can do anything. And I don't know, it was just really cool to see that because, you know, again, that's where I started in this whole thing. And so being able to be on the other end of that is really, really rewarding. So, and I have to thank KJ Walker because she's a huge reason of why I'm where I'm at now. Because if it wasn't for her videos teaching me how to do what I know, then I wouldn't be able to help other people learn what they're trying to do now. So it was really, really rewarding experience. I'm very grateful.
Wonderful. Yeah, KJ, she's definitely been the beacon for us in so many ways. I love that. Yeah, and I would love now, maybe CK, I would love to talk about, have you share a little bit about your journey, as I know you were also a mentor, but like your journey as an artist and what that process was like for submitting, because there was a submission process and building process and deployment process, what that was like for you.
Yeah, so I wasn't like an official mentor. I just, as Ajab said, I have been given so much support and help from the community myself in my journey doing many things, not just for Mesh. That it, when I see somebody with a question that I may have some insight to, I can't help but feel obligated to jump in and share that information. Just it's the pay it forward mentality, or as Ajab loves to say, sharing helps everyone. Shoot. So yeah, I'm CK, or CK Bubbles for those who don't know me. I'm a creative director and nail artist. I have been doing nail art in person for a few years now, and then when I entered the metaverse, I started doing digital nail art, and that's really evolved into many things, many builds. The history of nail art, AR experiences, and stuff like that. So with Mesh, I knew Mesh was coming. There had been some communications about it. I knew I really wanted to be an artist, and so when I was selected, I definitely was, I wouldn't say surprised. I mean, I definitely was surprised, because I'm always surprised when I find out I've like been accepted into something, if I am. But I think, I was really energized because I had just come off of building for Fashion Week and Beauty Week. And I, was already in this train of thought and had just released the Waters of Lilaca nail art set, which is an AR effect that you can wear nails in. And then there's a Decentraland wearable twin companion. And then if you were one of the early buyers of that NFT, you get a handful of drops over the next 4 months from myself. Apologies on the delay on one of them, but I'm waiting for a specific hand category to come out soon. So hopefully the patience will be worth it. But yeah, so I wanted to kind of take the idea of the world of Waters of Lilaca that the AR experience was built on, and basically this is an alien world in a distant galaxy. And instead of it being like Earth, where you have all these creatures above water and then certain ones below water, I've kind of blended all of it together in this like future vision of like an underwater planet and what that might look like. So you step into the waters of Lilaca, this alien world, and you dip your hand in and you pull your hand out and you have the AR nail set on. So I took the video that we created for the NFT project and I deconstructed it and made it an immersible cube that you get to step into. So it has the same sound from the video. It has all of the same 3D pretty much. I had to take some of it because of the environment and the sort of limitations of Decentraland, and you couldn't have over 15 MB to deploy, so had to kind of take something that was 3 million plus tries and many megabytes and condense it down. And so I also used the video screens on the walls, so that was really great to see Oddjob helping other people figure that out so that I could also figure it out. Madamus helped me with the particles inside of the cube. If you step inside of it, that was something some of us were working on some other particle systems with Blender, and he had released all that for Star Week, and all the different on Star Week, or the Star Block had all those particles. And so he was like, hey, I can change the color and send it over to you so you can add that into yours. And it was so easy. My very limited knowledge of SDK was able to basically copy and paste it, put it in, and make it work. So I learned a lot on this. I learned a lot more about 3D. I learned a lot more about SDK, and hopefully you guys learn a lot more about Waters of Lilaca.
No, love that. One thing that you were saying is I totally relate to. It's like there's such a magic in constraint, right? The magic of creativity that happens with things like tri-count constraint or within a cube constraint and Mesh during the beta. Right away, all us artists like didn't read the fine print and I did what you weren't supposed to, right? And all the fun things that us as creators like right away work around, and how we think to make something work within certain boundaries. I think some magical things usually happen within that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think too, going from, 2 months ago, maybe 3 months ago, I didn't even know Blender. I didn't even know SDK. I had ideas of it because I had been around it, watching everybody else do it, but I myself had never done it. So to be given such a high fidelity model and, something that is well beyond my capabilities now and what I know, and then to be able to do what I did, like, I feel so proud of myself. Like, I don't know that anyone will else feel exactly the way that I do, but I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. And Ruda, who did the original 3D that I then, sort of converted into low poly, I mean, it's a testament to her and her capabilities too, because I was able to go into something and understand it. You know, when people have a really well set up file and you can just jump in and like, you may not know, but you know, that's an amazing feeling to be able to not feel so scared. Cause I was worried. I had 2 weeks to do this coming off of Beauty Week.
Oh man,
to make my cube. I don't think people realize that, you know? And if it wasn't for having the 3D done originally, because the video was made completely in Blender by Ruta Lee. And so if it wasn't for that, yeah, I don't know that I would have been able to like complete it in time. But man, I'm just really proud of it. And I hope you guys are transported to an alien world when you step inside.
Well, I got a chance to view it, and I definitely got transported. I love the audio, love all the elements, and that's, I think, another beauty of this. Obviously, the part of like creating, you know, lifelong builders, like things like this always level you up. Even if it's like in the moment, you're like, why am I doing this? Sometimes you're like, you want to give up, but it's like breaking through and keeping at it and persevering always has such amazing rewards. And so glad that you were able to get it up. 2 weeks is nothing. You know, most of us had more time, but. Well, one thing I would love is we have Peanut Butter and Kim from Foundation side here. Would love to hear your take on how you've seen this Metaverse Art Week, you know, the planning behind it, and maybe compare it to what last year's was and where you see it evolving.
PB, I'll let you take that because I wasn't here last week for it, but personally super excited to see it. I've seen some previews. It is stunning, but I'll let PB to it more so just because he was here last year.
Awesome. Thanks, Kim.
Hey, I've just been I've been a bit distracted just wandering around the build, just checking out all of the art stuff. So sorry I haven't been engaging too much in answering the questions or providing any questions. I've just been yeah, the scene is super incredible, so it's super fun to check out. Just a quick tip. Just for anybody that's walking around, if you're in Decentraland and you hit P to open up your settings and you go to the graphics tab, down at the bottom of that, there's a slider for the first person field of view. If you slide that up to 80 and then you go in your first person, that'll make it so your screen shows more. So whenever you go into the boxes, basically, you could see like a wider range of things. So I prefer that view. So you could you could see like the whole box basically whenever you go inside. Just a quick adjustment you could do to adjust your view in Decentraland. But yeah, this it's super incredible to see all of the different artists involved. I was really cool to hear about some of the different stories Scott was talking about, and getting different artists included and helping them sort out the video and the the different struggles that they went through. So shout out to the the team of the community members that were helping assist in those sorts of ways. That's super valuable. But yeah, this setup comparatively to last year's, I think that if you kind of wander around the plaza that this is in, it seems to be a few of the installations from last year still here. So if you weren't around, you might be able to get a little bit of a peek at what happened in the past. But yeah, I think that it's just scaling this year upon the different ways that the community members are involved and engaged. Like I was mentioning with Scott leading some of the Discord discussions and things like that, having a community engagement there is super cool. Having it ran by an external team with Bay and Mesh is just just a new iteration to how these big events are being done, and hopefully help scale things as the Decentraland scales, because unfortunately it isn't in the foundation's bandwidth to keep up with these kind of things this consistently. So to kind of hand over the torch, I guess I could say, to people that are capable of running these kinds of things and orchestrating it in the ways that have been done. Yeah, it's really cool to see. So yeah, overall, it's just really awesome. I'm excited to explore it more throughout the next few days, enjoy some of the events, and see some more participation from the artists and community members.
Awesome. Wonderful. Thank you for that, Peanut Butter. Kim, go for it.
Yeah, I just wanted to add a thank you to all of the mentors and community members that helped here. I'm really excited to see some new artists bringing their skills into Decentraland, in addition to the amazing talent that we know we already have within the community. I think this is such a great example of being able to take an event and use the frameworks that this community has built to be a new path for some artists as they're looking to expand their skill set or their audience and just really showcase their work. So I think it's such a beautiful example of that, and looking forward to seeing that all come to life. But huge shout out and thank you to everyone that's helped on the support side to make this happen.
Right there with you. Yeah, it's been. I've seen a lot of her from behind the scenes, so I very much am in the same boat you are, Kim. I have huge appreciation for all the hard work. There's a lot of planning that's one of the reasons we love showcasing and doing these Twitter spaces, to showcase all the work and the dedication and passion and love that goes into all of this. One thing I would love to hear from all of you guys is, I'm always like myself, like, have difficulty whenever I try to share what's happening in the metaverse, especially the art aspect, to people who have never been in the metaverse. Like, how would you explain, like, what unique kind of experiences and opportunities the metaverse has to offer that, like, regular gallery space does not? How, I would love to hear your guys' take on that. And whoever wants to jump in, go, babe.
I'm going to jump in because I've just got back from NFT Show Europe. So at NFT Show Europe, we had 3 big screens showing mesh installations. And it was really interesting getting the reaction from NFT artists as to what this is, and how it differs from what they've experienced in their careers and also in their portfolios. I had the best conversations with real life artists that do installations in public environments. They got what the difference is between doing something like Mesh and doing a traditional art show, because we were kind of laughing about how you can never predict how people coming to the show are going to interact with the installations, how they're going to move around the space, how they're going to respond to these physical 3D things that have physicality to them and that you can interact with your own body. And that isn't something that a traditional, and it's really funny to say a traditional NFT artist, but someone working in a 2D environment, that those considerations don't come into their practice. So it was really interesting to feel more connected with extremely physical artists who were working. For example, I was having an amazing conversation with a artist called Mace Ball, who who works with things like children's playgrounds and pianos held by strings in the air, and that conversation and interaction in a real environment. And I see that that's happening in what we're producing in Decentraland and for Mesh, both in the Art Week installations and also in the cubes, that there's this conversation between our avatars and the works themselves. I just think it transforms that relationship with the artwork. We had these conversations where generative artists or AI artists were kind of looking on going, wow, yeah, that is a completely different relationship with an artwork. And for me and the crew at Boelta, that's kind of what we're fascinated by, like how these shared digital experiences kind of influence us as both society and also individuals. How do we relate to art in a 3D environment? So you can tell it's kind of a real passion point for me.
Oh man, we could have a whole spaces just on that. There's so many questions that come to mind, because I've been a part of a lot of groups. Like, I was, from Santa Fe originally, where I knew all the Meow Wolf kids, Film Meow Wolf with Meow Wolf. Like, I've been parts of these IRL installations.
I'm such a Meow Wolf fangirl, absolutely.
But then like the magic of like being able to do whatever you want without the $1 million budget, right? Like, that's another aspect that like frees up your creativity, and like you're saying, the interaction with these spaces and on so many different levels, that like, yeah, this is a topic that we definitely have to do another spaces around. And I would love to hear everybody else's take on that as well. But did you have recordings of that? Or were any of these conversations shared? I would love to hear those.
I wish I did. I feel like we should get all the artists to these spaces and have these dialogues. I think that's really looking forward to on Friday.
Let's do, like, we can do a recording of that, just because it's such a magical moment right now. And I was thinking, I'm working here, I'm like, oh, we have to do that. Let's plan on that.
I wanted to just piggyback or hitchhike off of something that Bay had said. A word that you used, Bay, was transformative. And there's a term that I've kept sort of in my artist toolkit for quite a while. It's called transformative play. And it's actually one of the things that led me to Decentraland. I've been a 3D artist now for, oh my gosh, over 20 years, 25 years, something like that. And just always been looking for something that is a readily available tool set. And it's a thing that I've commented about Decentraland a number of times, and that it's a really fertile soil for an artist to come in and experience. But yeah, having done art shows in physical gallery spaces, and hung my work and set up sculptures and stuff like that, and getting to see people interact with them There's that concept of there's that trinity. There's the artist, there's the audience, and then there's the art, the creation, and what is the interplay between that. And I think one of the beautiful things that Decentraland, or a metaverse space, offers is that transformative play. CK and I, we do a weekly tour of Decentraland, and we like to say that Decentralites, or citizens of Decentraland, are part mountain goat, because we see something, and the first thing we want to do is climb up on it, right? And going to builds that have been in Decentraland for 3 or even 4 years, and finding a way to hack and get into what, like, the town hall. Like, you can use things that you normally couldn't in the real world, in the physical realm, where if you load into a scene and then you run into the center of it really fast before the walls load, you can get inside, quote unquote, a locked, token gated. So being able to see places like that. I mean, that's just one example of, quote unquote, breaking the rules. But it's like, uh, you've reminded me of that considerably, with the Dear Vivian piece that you had during Fashion Week Bay, about the punk aesthetic, or the hacker mindset, and trying to break the rules. And you get that through play. Hacking is, it's asking the wrong question to get the right answer. It's one way to describe it. And for artists, I don't have any in the Mesh art fair this year, but being an artist myself, just knowing that it's fun to not just push limits, but to see what this thing can do. And you get that through play. And then you are able to, the transformative part of that is, I am able to transform my conception of space, of time, of form, of texture, of rhythm, all of those components that we as artists, like to play with. And now we can do it temporally, and in three-dimensional space, and in real time, in some instances. So transformative play, I think, is the undiscovered country that the metaverse opens up for most artists.
Love that. Play is definitely key. And I'm always like, I love what you're saying about, like, just to me, it's about a lot of times just going in there and asking, opposite questions, or doing things different. Now I'm going to have to run around all the builds at the same time. I can get into those spaces. I'm like, I did not know you could do that. The hacker mindset is so, like, I love that. It's beautifully put there, Scott. CK, you wanna go?
Yeah, I think, when I think about that question, I feel like I consider a lot of how, in the hacker mindset, liking things, right? Like breaking the physics, breaking reality, creating new ways of experiencing that, like creating new ways of immersion. And so when I look at what digital spaces and the metaverse key for artists is that, like sometimes in the physical world of art, you're limited to the physics of it. And in this space, you can break that, and you can make people feel like they're in a different world or in a different place, even more so than necessarily a physical installation can, which that can completely do that as well. I've been physical experiences where I was like, I feel disoriented and I don't know what's going on here. But I do the metaverse. It allows you to just do that on a more grander scale, because you're not limited to things that physically cost something. Like, can you create? Can you do something? Are the tools free to do it? Is the platform free to put it on? Like, and if it is, then you just now have this giant warehouse for you to do what you want in, as opposed to needing to find somebody or get a residency or get a grant or whatever it be. You can actually go out there and do that more accessibly in this space. So that's what it is for me.
Love that. Nikki, do you want to share?
I mean, it's hard to match up to what everybody said. I think everybody's touched on really great points of, the expression and the opportunities that this provides. I'm really excited to see how this, whenever somebody comes onto a platform for the first time like this and has a good experience like this, there's no telling how many people that they're going to invite or talk to, or how many artists that they're connected with that are going to come in and have a similar experience. And that's kind of how the creator communities evolve and grow. So I'm really excited to see that and see what happens after Art Week.
No, love that. Peanut Butter, I don't know if you have any other questions. I could keep going. I always have like a lot of questions. Or if there's anybody from the audience, before we wrap it up, we have another probably 10 or so minutes. You're welcome to come up here and ask anybody up here in the panel any questions.
No, sorry, I don't have too many questions at the moment. I think that you did a really awesome job covering covering everything. Yeah, and leading the space. Just to slightly answer what you asked a moment ago. Yeah, I just think that as digital art expands and becomes more popularized, it just makes sense for people to have more virtual spaces, 3D worlds to be able to display it. So that being Decentraland or other spaces, it's super cool to see artists leading the way into these metaverses and really taking over the space.
Love that. Thank you. Kim, you have your hand raised.
Bay, I'd love to hear from you. There's so many exhibits and artists to see. Is there anything that you saw that kind of really wowed you I didn't know that type of thing was even possible in Decentraland. Curious if you have like a must see in terms of like really pushed boundaries.
That's such a difficult question because I think everyone has pushed something with this. I think if you're looking for things that twist what Decentraland is and do something really different with the medium, Dev Harlan's cube is number 4, I think. I've got so many laptops going here. Let me see if I can the list. So Dev's cube is extraordinary. How he's used textures, which I've never seen that Decentraland before. Mika's cube, so Mika is 22, and that uses mocap. So Mika's used mocap of his own body moving in sort of space and time, and he's a quite a renowned glitch artist. That was the first artist to sell a GL glitch through Sotheby's. And Mika's done something really interesting with his environment. So yeah, that would be Dev for me. Dev was number 12. So Dev Harlan, Mika number 22. And then Rebecca Rose, who is an extraordinary collage artist, and she's built this really strong following in the collage pieces that she's created. So she creates 2D collage, and she also does in real life 3D environments with collage. And this is the first time she's transported that work into the method. Thanks to Nikki's help. Nikki was instrumental in helping Rebecca compress this so it'd work in a metaverse environment. But Rebecca's made a quite extraordinary installation. But for me, I think if you have the time, every single cube has brought something really different to the space, and there's kind of 3 that kind of jump out as twisting what Decentraland is, but everyone has. I was saying the artist Bunny Breaker is in the studio with me now, helping with the spaces and the installations, and I was saying that when bunnies arrived, I cried. I cried when the installation box, and I had that moment several times during the show because having never imagined that we could bring this together fully, kind of thinking, well, this is an idea, can we do it? And then seeing what artists have produced in response to that idea, wow, I couldn't have asked for anything more. It's just incredible.
Super helpful. Yeah, that's what I was looking for, is like something where you're like, I've never seen something like that done in Decentraland. So like a unique take, because I think that's really cool as people continue to expand the idea of what's possible. That comes up a lot as I go on the opportunities too, of just like what is possible, and in the technical restraints that we have, how can people bring the creativity? So I plan to go through all the cubes, but I will make sure to kind of look around. Thank you.
I think that question is another wonderful topic for spaces in and of itself, creative uses and crazy aspects of spaces. And I think I would love to ask one final question of everybody up here, kind of to start wrapping up the space. And I think we've kind of talked about it this whole time, but I would love to hear your take, is how you guys see the metaverse as transforming the definition of art. And I guess, Bay, if you want to start.
That's another Twitter space, no?
I know. For you.
That's a massive question. For me, it's another new art movement. I truly believe that this is another art movement coming through that's going to be important in the history of art. It's gone from digital art as being important, which that kind of started in the 60s and then kind of peaked when we had interest going across the galleries and the auction houses. And now quietly, there's this whole generation of artists working in 3D environments and immersive experiences. And that's the next wave for me. Like that's what's coming through, because as CK quite rightly said, like as an artist, you're struggling for space, struggling for opportunities, have a geographic location for these experiences. And suddenly that's democratized, especially in open source environments, that suddenly we have unlimited space. We have this opportunity to create experience that we can share without geographic limitations, without space restrictions, without monetary restrictions. And yeah, that's just this whole new wave of creativity. And I really can't wait to see where it goes.
Love that.
I agree with all that. Yeah, I was just gonna say, like what Bay and KJ and Isle have done with Mesh and Art Week has really just allowed access for new artists to be in a space. Like being an artist myself, but then watching the support channel and the artist channel, and being, people who had never been in this space learning to adapt. It was really exciting, and I look forward to the future artists I've yet to meet that will hopefully become names we all know, because the more access we give to people, the more talent we'll see that's out there.
I'll just piggyback off of what you were saying, CK, and the word that comes to me is abundance. When the cost zero for being able to deploy a cube or to deploy an experience, just how powerful it is to go to theater, right, and have the experience of being with people at an event, happening live, and then being able to replicate that and jump in and have that experience at any time and in any place, really virtually. But having that available to literally anybody, who can connect. And I know there are obvious limitations right now, right? There still is scarcity, but like the costs are still rapidly approaching zero. So then it's like, what are the limitations? And then it's just, what your own creativity is, whether that's AI tools to be assistive in coming up with textures, or animation files or whatever. It's like, if you can dream it, you can do it. So I think it's that it's that abundance that is now available.
I think for me, I'm a very forward, future, like hyper futuristic thinker, which resonates in the art that I do. And so the way that I think about it is like, I think about the Industrial Revolution, when it was like all the capitalism that was popping off and industries were forming and factories were blowing up everywhere. I think we're about to go through an artistic revolution with all of this accessibility in our hands. I mean, artists have never been able to be this accessible with their art and this adaptable. And I think AI is just like the tip of the iceberg of what we're going to experience and be able to utilize as artists as tools, not replacements. Because a lot of people think AI is going to replace us, but I fully believe it's going to empower us. Because everybody has some kind of creative deficit, and if AI can fill that, then we're unstoppable. And I think about, where traditional gaming started and how, mundane it was and simple it was, and it's come in the last 40, 50 years, and where it can go in the next 40, 50 years. And thinking about how we have a direct impact on that is crazy. Thinking about literal virtual worlds and just having another layer of reality. I mean, even going as far as like walking down the street in real life and having glasses, just regular prescription glasses, and being able to see somebody's virtual fit displayed on their real person in real time. I think artists are going to have a direct connection in that. We're going to have a direct connection in pretty much every industry going forward. So I'm really, really excited for it. And I'm very thankful that I found the metaverse when I did, because now we're all a part of it. And we're all a part of pioneering that forward.
Love that. This has been wonderful space. I could keep chatting with you guys all day. This makes me think about like, I'm like you, Scott. For about 20 years, I've been like a digital arts educator, and I remember when it was like $100 for a gig, and when you needed a full giant team to do like a macromedia director, DVD. I worked with things like that. So now for me, I think my word is grateful for the ability to as an individual and to connect with this community, and everyone be able to share and build and learn together. It's been phenomenal. So grateful for you, Bay, for Scott, CK, Nikki, everybody up here, Peanut Butter, Kim. I have another person wanting to request to say something. We are closing up the space here in a minute, but I'm super grateful, and we'll definitely have to continue this conversation. And maybe, Bay, if you want to close up real quick and maybe share just a little quick recap of like you're doing a lot of Twitter Spaces, and for those who are new, just the first, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, so there are a lot going on. So it starts tomorrow. Art Week opens tomorrow at 5 p.m. UTC with a tour and Twitter space, and that will be a much more interactive tour, walking around the cubes together, the artists talking about their work. So we'll have Stefan Duck, we'll have Leah Smithson, and we'll have Peanut Butter as well, kind of giving to the cubes as we walk around. Then we'll have a repeat of that on Thursday with 3 more artists giving you a private tour of their works, talking about where their inspiration came from, giving you this kind of insider's look at how these pieces came together. And then Friday is kind of the critical conversation, the collectors, the arts writers talking about their favorite cubes. And then the weekend is just massive parties. So if you would want to know like what's going on, parties every day as well during Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The Decentraland blog, the last post, is all about Art Week. It tells you everything you need to know. You can also find everything on the Vuelta